Exchanging materials and the adaptations for exchanging materials. There are various adaptations to make the process of exchange more efficient. The effectiveness of an exchange surface can be increased by, first of all, having a large surface area over which exchange can take place, having a thin membrane or being thin to provide a short diffusion path for the materials, having an efficient blood supply to move the diffusing substances away from the exchange surface to maintain a low concentration, to maintain a steep concentration gradient, and also being ventilated to make gas exchange more efficient, to take away the gases that have crossed over and maintain a steep concentration gradient for gas exchange as well. Here is an adaptation we see, for example, in Fitzroy River turtles. They get the oxygen they need from the water through a specialized excretory opening. And this opening has finger-like folds on this lining to provide a very large surface area and blood supply for gas exchange. So these finger-like protrusions make a bigger surface area than a plain flat surface, and this makes the breathing process easier. Besides from the turtles, in humans, the surface area to volume ratio is so low that the cells inside your body cannot possibly get the food and oxygen they need or get rid of the waste they produce by simple diffusion. So what happens? Air is moved into and out of your lungs when you breathe, ventilating the millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli. The alveoli have an enormous surface area and are very rich in blood supply for effective gas exchange. The villi of the small intestine also provide a large surface area, a short diffusion path, and a rich blood supply to make exchange of materials more effective. The blood supply will take away the materials that have diffused to keep the concentration on the inside low, to keep a steep concentration gradient so that diffusion stays effective. Now in fish, they need to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide between their blood and the water in which they swim. This happens across organs called gills, which are made up of stacks of thin filaments, each with a rich blood supply and a high surface area. Fish need a constant flow of water over the gills to maintain the concentration gradients needed for gas exchange, because once they take oxygen from the water, they are decreasing the concentration of this oxygen in the water, so they need to flow different water that is rich in oxygen. They do this by pumping the water over their gills using a flap that covers the gills called the operculum. So this is how fish are adapted to breathe underwater. Plant roots have a large surface area, made even bigger by the root hair cells, to make the uptake of water and mineral ions more efficient. Water constantly moves away from the roots up to the leaves, and it transpires, it evaporates. We have a transpiration steam. This maintains a steep concentration gradient in the cells for water, so that osmosis is efficient. And also, plant leaves are modified to make gas and solute exchange as effective as possible. They are flat, they are thin, we have air spaces in the leaf tissues, and we have stomata. All help to provide a big surface area and maintain a steep concentration gradient for the diffusion of substances such as water, mineral ions, and carbon dioxide. And these are some examples of some adaptations that organisms have had in order to make the exchange of materials simpler, because they have a small surface area to volume ratio because of their large volume and their complexity, so that they can still transport materials even with their small surface area to volume ratio.